Hello and welcome to the live training on writing complete sentences. And I want to welcome Dina and Angela. Thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to being able to train you and all of the viewers about how we can help our students to improve their sentences. Is this something that you're seeing with your students, Dina and Angela? What are you seeing?
With my fifth grader, I see that she's really excited, but she tends to not focus on one subject. So she gets really excited, but then off on a tangent. So this is really good for like bringing her back in.
Good, good.
Yeah.
And Angela?
Um, I, yeah, I really have to get her to focus. And yeah, for me, English is my second language, so it's also hard for me to teach her to write better sentences. So I could use all the help I can get.
I absolutely understand. English is a difficult subject. And can you see my screen now? It says I'm screen sharing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. It's just not doing, oh, it's not quite you doing my photos right, so of you, so that's kind of a little bit complicated. All right, so maybe I guess we can start with what makes a good sentence. So when you look at a sentence that your student has written, how do you know if it's a good sentence? And I know parents ask this all of the time. You know, in kindergarten, grade 1, it seems so easy, right? Oh, it has a capital, it has a period, it has a complete thought. Woohoo, we win, right? I fed the dog. Perfect. I have a subject and a verb and a complete thought. So every sentence needs, and this is what a lot of students maybe need to be reminded of, every sentence needs a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. And most often when I ask my grade 6, 7 students, how do you know if a sentence is complete? What does every sentence need? They almost invariably say a capital, a period, at least 5 words. And I will say house, dog, mark, fall, sit, walk, period. Is that a sentence? Of course not, right? So they know what they're saying isn't exactly true, but that's how they determine if it's a sentence. So then we talk about, well, what is a subject and what is a verb? There are only a few grammar pieces that really, really matter. And so those are the ones that I teach in my classes and I teach to students. But most often we can actually just get away without even teaching the subject and verb piece, at least at the beginning, and just talk about a complete thought. Well, do you have a complete thought? Right? If we say to store to get chips, is that a complete thought?
No.
You're right. No, it's not a complete thought. Who went to the store to get chips, right? So it's not a complete thought. So one of the first things we need to ask our students is it a complete thought? So from there, we get to move on. So, but maybe just so we're all on the same page because we're going to get there eventually. Let's talk about what a subject and a verb is. Any ideas? I'm not putting you on the spot. Well, I guess I am. I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Do you know what a subject and a verb is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Subject
Excellent.
is
What
who
is the
it's
subject of a
about.
sentence?
Subject is what you're talking about, and the verb is what it's doing.
Okay, the doing or action.
The act.
Okay. And so this was sort of a trick question.
Yeah.
Dina, do you know the answer? Have your
What the subject,
the subject?
what the sentence is about, correct? Who or what?
See, this is what most students think.
Okay.
And in grammar, that's not the case. So when we just speak, we use the words subject and topic interchangeably.
Yeah.
But when it comes to grammar, subject and topic are separate things. So the topic of the sentence is what the sentence is about. but the subject of the sentence is who or what is doing the verb.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the person or the thing that's doing the action.
Yeah.
Okay, and a verb is actually more
Important
than
then.
doing or an action. And so this is a problem because we teach these definitions to our students in grade 1, usually, and we say, oh, the verb is the action word. But it would be so much easier just to teach them the whole thing right from the get-go. Because what about I am hungry? What is the verb in I am hungry?
Hungry.
Can you guess?
Or am.
See,
Am.
so many people think it's
Am.
hungry. That's the object.
Is
That's
it am?
what I am. Do you know, Dina?
Am, right?
Am. Am is the verb. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. You might be feeling awkward because you're getting the wrong answers, but this is exactly what other parents need to know, is that they're not alone. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay if we don't have all the answers. We can learn them too. Our students can learn them, so can we, right?
Mhm.
And that's why I do training for parents and not just for students. So if am is the verb, what is the subject?
I.
I.
I, right. I. So we can always identify a verb because a verb always has a pronoun, a name, a thing, or something in front of it. So a verb is a doing or action or state of being. This is the am verbs,
Mhm.
or having, the having verbs. Let me say
What
have.
is the hungry? What is the hungry actually?
Hungry is the, I think it's called the object. I didn't go and checked. It might just be the predicate. It all depends on,
Yeah.
those pieces of grammar aren't my forte.
Yeah.
But when I talk to students, I go, and that's the other part of the sentence.
And
Because,
galore.
yeah, because we don't actually need to know the names of all the pieces. Grammar education in and of itself is not a bad thing. It may be advantageous for students who actually get it, right? Or who make the connections with the real world. But generally speaking, when we give students a list of words and definitions, they get stored in one part of the brain.
Mhm.
And when they're writing, they're not using that part of the brain anyway. So it's not super helpful unless it's applied to writing.
Mhm.
So, and this is why I teach grammar as it applies to punctuation or knowing when we have a complete thought or a complete sentence. So I am hungry would be a simple sentence, an independent clause. And these are the kinds of sentences our students fall back on. I have a number of grade 6 students this year that are new to my classes, and their paragraphs are a series of simple sentences. It sounds like rapid gunfire. And this is not the best type of writing.
No, again,
Yeah, we don't talk that way, and
stopping,
our
stopping.
students need to grow beyond it.
Yeah.
All right, so have you seen that your students write very short sentences without extra details or without combining them with other things?
I have a problem getting mine to write a paragraph, to be honest. I
Fair enough.
kind of a bit overwhelmed with things she's agree behind in that, but one day at a time. No?
And that's absolutely okay. Until they can write sentences, writing paragraphs aren't so important.
Mhm.
And when they can write a sentence well, and put their ideas together, then they'll be able to learn to write a paragraph and learn the steps to writing paragraphs. And really, that's not so difficult either. Every single thing in and of itself is not particularly difficult. We just have to learn.
Yeah.
So there's a number of steps you go through to learn that piece. So I am hungry is an independent clause or a simple sentence. And the first thing I would say when our students write and they have all of these simple sentences strung together. So I am hungry. I want pizza. There isn't any pizza left.
Mhm.
I'm mad. Okay, we have 4 simple sentences. They get the point across. They're fine, right? If I were speaking in, well, maybe not French because I know some French, but if I were speaking in, Spanish or Italian or German or some other language, and I spoke like that, yay me, right? But once we get into this, we need to improve it. So we want to take these simple sentences and we want to figure out how we can add to them. So the problem is we'll say to our students, can you make it longer? I'm really, really, really hungry. That's not really helping, right?
No.
So we'll add more details. What else can you say? I don't know what to do. I mean, that's not adding more either. We have another simple sentence. So then we get frustrated, and they're frustrated because they don't really know what we mean by make it longer. So one of the things that I will do is I will say to my students, okay, just forget your sentences for a minute and look at me. Talk to me. Tell me about it. I am so hungry and I really want pizza, but there isn't any pizza left. I'm so mad because my brother ate the last piece and now I don't know what to have for dinner. They're more than capable of coming up with amazing sentences, right? Maybe not quite that amazing, but as amazing as I just came up with. But, they are capable because when they speak, they can come up with more. But when they write, they're focusing on every word and the letter of every word and the spelling of every word and just trying to put the sentences on the paper. Okay, what's a sentence? I need a complete thought and it has to have a capital and a period. I need a complete thought with a capital and a period. And so they get stuck and they get frustrated and we get frustrated and we keep saying the same things and they don't understand. Have you ever been stuck in this cycle?
Mhm.
Yes. I have been stuck in this cycle. Even with my students sometimes, I just say, okay, look at all the ideas from that paragraph. And now just tell me. And I just type what they say. Try really hard to only type what they say.
Mhm.
And it's so much better than what they had written. So that's one of the things that we will do is we will verbalize it first and then write. So the other thing we can do is we could have them add description and details. So we really can't say more than I am really hungry, but how else could we improve I am hungry? Do you have any ideas?
I am so hungry, my stomach is.
Yeah, I am so hungry. My stomach is growling, right? Or
Yeah,
we could say, I
I'm
am
extremely hungry.
starving. We could choose a stronger verb. Okay,
Mhm.
so this would be choose a stronger verb. So we have to explain to them what a stronger verb is, right? Oh, well, instead of hungry, can you find a more dramatic way to say that? our kids are very good at being dramatic.
Mhm.
So if we ask them to come up with a better verb and we ask them to make it more dramatic, they'll be able to do that. I am starving. Okay, I am so hungry, my stomach is growling. This is going to be describe what you see or hear or feel, right? I'm so hungry, my stomach is growling. It feels like it's going to eat itself.
Mm.
Right? They might not come up with that on their own, but they'll come up with something. And in your mind, you might come up with something else, and yours is so much better. And I want to encourage you to resist the urge to improve theirs even more,
Mhm.
because they will get there. And if they come up with something that's better, it's much more valuable to their confidence and to their learning to reward them for coming up with that instead of rewarding them and then saying, but what about this? It's even better, right? And that's something that I always struggled with when I had young kids. I wanted to show them how to make it the best, because then they'll learn, right? And they'll learn anyway, but it does help their growth if they feel like they can accomplish it themselves instead of you always being the one who can do it the best. We hope that we can do it better, right? So
Mhm.
those are some ways that we could add it there. There isn't any pizza left. Can we add more details to that? Right? So we could ask them to add more details. Jeff ate all the pizza. And now it's gone. Right? Jeff ate all the pizza and now it's gone. So this would be more details.
Mhm.
Oops, not that. Brackets. So we could change it like that, or they could change it like that. Ask them for more details. We could ask them to describe it. Okay? I'm mad. I am mad. All right. Mad isn't the best word because it doesn't actually mean angry, but to our children, it absolutely means angry. So, that is what it is. I'm mad. So can they describe that? What does mad feel like? What does mad sound like? You're as mad as what? Can you come up with maybe another sentence? Yours, I'm sure, will be better than your students.
I'm as mad as an angry bull.
Oh, yes, we have a
Oh.
nice simile. So they're not going to know that's a simile, right? But you can ask them, okay, I'm as mad as, and they can fill it in. Or as mad as a hornet, or whatever, right? Can we think of another one?
Uh,
How
really
else could we describe? What does mad feel like in our body? When we get angry, what does it feel like in our body?
oh.
What do our
Yeah.
hands do? What does our face do? What does our stomach do? This would be sensory description.
Something about our nerves.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. I am mad and my nerves are
Doing a somersault.
okay.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Or maybe shaking, or I'm mad and I'm mad
And my
and
nerves are overstimulated.
I don't think they'll come up with that one for sure. My nerves are shaking. Okay, or my hands are clenched. My hands and jaw are clenched.
My hair is standing on end.
Mhm.
This one's a very complex sentence. Actually, it is a complex sentence. That's actually the name of the type of sentence it is. That's why there's a comma. So commas would be quite later. If they came up with this sentence and they're just learning how to make their sentences longer, don't even worry about the commas. Don't worry about them. Don't go there.
Too long of a sentence.
One of the really important things is to just go step by step. First, they have a simple sentence. Great. Awesome. You wrote like 6 sentences. Good for you. Let's see how we can improve them, because the writing process is a process about improving it and making it better every step of the way. So as soon as we write it down, that's just the first step. So you got it right. Way to go. But now the next step is, how can we make it better? And this is the same as growth mindset. Students that struggle with being wrong, or always want everything to be perfect, or feel like if they are corrected that somehow the world is coming to an end, the writing process is going to be difficult because it's a process of improvement. But it's so important, because everything in our life is a process of improvement. If we can't improve at every step, if we can't grow or struggle and refine, then we're going to have difficulties. So it's actually a really good habit to practice, and they'll be able to learn that growth mindset through writing. So we could add description and details. So that's the next step after simple sentences, is just adding other things. Oh, we could also add details like where and when. Okay, there isn't any pizza left. And we could ask them, well, where is this happening? When is this happening? So this would be adding what we would call, forgot the word, prepositional phrases. Prepositions tell where things are in time and space. So there isn't any pizza left in the fridge. So we want to add where, in the fridge. Okay, so add where or when there isn't any pizza left in the fridge or in the freezer or wherever. If I was saying I went to the store, I might say I went to the organic grocery store. So I'm describing the store. And then I went to the one on this street on Jubilee Ave, right? On Jubilee Ave would be the when and where. So we can take one sentence, and if you can think of ways that they can add more details, you can say, okay, now take the same sentence and tell me, describe it. There isn't any what kind of pizza, any cheese pizza, any pepperoni pizza. Like describe the pizza, or homemade pizza, or whatever. So we could add describing things to the nouns. We could add when and where it is as well. Once your student starts to add these details, even if you have to prompt them, but once they're able to do it, even with a prompt, mostly without your help, then you can continue on to combining sentences. So this is definitely a next step type of learning. So this I teach in grades 6 and up. Not that students don't already do this, like many students do it already, but the reason I'm teaching it is because this is where punctuation comes in. So in this earlier steps, you're going to want to teach, the punctuation you would teach in this step is serial commas. So that's commas in lists. I went to the store, I bought apples, comma, oranges, comma, and bananas. Or it's equally as acceptable to say, I went to the store and bought apples, comma, oranges, and bananas. Some people put a comma before the and some people don't. Either way, they're both correct.
Okay.
So just so you know, you'll see it different in different books, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But you would want to teach these commas in the description. So if they start saying, I don't know, if they start listing things, there isn't any pizza or tacos or pizza taco or, I don't know, craft dinner left, right? If they're listing the things that they wish they were eating for dinner, they need to put commas in there. So you're going to want to eventually teach them that punctuation.
Okay, we're up on top where you said my hands and jaw are clenched. Would you not put a comma after clenched or not? My hands and jaws are clenched, and my hair is standing on end.
No,
Would
and
there
the
be a
reason
comma?
for that is two things are clenched, right? So this is a list of two, so no comma in that because it's a list of two.
Oh, okay.
But then we add another thing also. So we could say my hands are clenched and my hair is standing on end. But instead of doing that, because that would be a list of two, we've just made this piece a double.
Mhm.
So it's a, your students probably aren't going to think to do that. But yeah, you're right. There would not be a comma there.
Oh, okay. I'm always not sure where exactly to put the comma or not.
Okay. If
I
I
would.
said my hands are in fists,
My
my
hands and
jaw is clenched, and my hair is standing on end, I'm listing three things that are happening. So I would say my hands are in fists, comma, my jaw is clenched, potential comma, okay, if you put a comma before and my hair is standing on end. If,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to just copy that one again. But this is like you probably never have to teach this to your student. Definitely not at this stage because
Yeah.
you wouldn't, you wouldn't go there. But if you change it to my hands and jaw are clenched, this is a package. Hands and jaw are a package.
Mhm.
So it's like this is all in one bag.
Mhm.
We only have one verb. My hands are clenched
Mhm.
and my hair is standing on end. So the subject is my hands and jaw, and the verb is are.
Okay.
And my, this isn't a list either. This gets a comma because of something else that we're not teaching in this level. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so this gets a comma because and is a fanboys, and that's in the combining sentences. My hair is standing on end is a sentence all by itself. So it has a subject, my hair,
Okay.
and the
Yeah.
verb is. So this is a connector word.
Yeah.
So because it's a connector word, it's a fanboys connector word, and it has a subject and a verb after, it would get a comma.
Okay. Yeah.
But for a different reason, not because it's a list.
Mhm.
So I'll go like this, and I will here write fanboys. And don't worry, I won't leave you in suspense because I'm going to teach you that right now. Okay. When we combine sentences, do you know how we combine sentences?
And or.
Yep, with combining words, connecting words.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a way that we never combine sentences. Do you know what it is?
Not sure.
Dina, do you know? With a comma. That would be a comma splice error. Students do this all the time. But I paused there,
Oh.
right? They think if you pause, you put a comma. In fact, it does not matter what level of students I am teaching. If it is the first time in my class and I ask, How do you know where to put a comma? At least 75% of the class is going to say where you pause.
Mhm.
Okay.
Not true.
Mm.
When you are reading aloud, you pause where there is a comma. You also pause where there's a period, a semicolon, lots of other things. Maybe just because it sort of makes sense to pause there, and there might be no punctuation to show you. So we don't put a comma for a pause. And I think I still have a blog for that, if you check on my blog. We never connect it with a comma. That would be a comma splice error. So that would be, I am so hungry. My brother ate all the pizza. Right?
Well, it wouldn't make sense without a comma, no?
It would make sense without a comma.
It wouldn't.
You need a word.
You're
Let's
right,
say
because if it didn't have a comma, it would be a different error. It would
it
be a
would be a
run-on
run-on
sentence.
sentence, no?
Yeah, now it's a run-on sentence. Yep, exactly. Look, you know more than you think you do.
Well, yeah, I guess. I've I've homeschooled for 3 years, so I
There you go.
should
The
know for
things we learn.
something.
Yes, so this would be a run-on sentence. Connecting two sentences without connecting them is a run-on. And students do this all of the time. They'll write entire paragraphs like this,
Mhm.
especially when they first come to me. And then they often will jump to putting commas, which is a comma splice. So we can't connect it with a comma because this is a complete sentence and this is a complete sentence. We have to connect it with a connector word. And there are
Connecting.
two, go ahead.
Yeah, connecting or like it has to have and or whatever words like those.
Right. There are two types of connector words. We have the fanboys ones and we have all the others.
I have no idea what fanboys means.
Ah, but I think you know them.
Well, probably,
Or
but I
you know
didn't know.
some of them for sure. So fanboys is an acronym.
Okay.
And so it means for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, but not so that. Okay. So if it is connected with one of these words, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, it always follows the same rule. And if it's connected with any other connector word in the entire world, and there are lots of them, lots and lots, they follow a different rule. So what we do is we just learn the rule for fanboys.
Mhm.
And if it's not a fanboys, it's one of the other ones, and it goes by the other rule. Fair enough?
Like words like therefore, or that would be
Yep.
something else, right?
Or because.
Yeah.
Because is one of the other words
Mm-hmm.
to watch for. Because is a word that people get the commas wrong all the time. So I have sort of a visual. I made like an algorithm for students to follow for fanboys, actually for all connector words. And so I'll make it a little smaller so it'll fit on the screen. There we go. So when we have two sentences and they're connected by a word, the first thing we do is we ask ourselves, is this a fanboys? So let's create a sentence. Any ideas? Two sentences that we can connect with a connector word?
Hmm.
I'm going to the store, but I don't have any money.
Mm.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Is it also correct to say, I'm going to the store, but don't have any money?
Yes, right?
Yes.
Rid of the extras.
Yep. But don't have any money. Okay. So we could say it either way.
Mhm.
How about I am going to the store today because I have some money. Okay, we'll go on the store and money. Okay, so we have these three sentences.
Lots of people do that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have, I am going to the store. Is that a complete sentence?
Hmm?
I am going to the store, it's complete.
Okay, why are you going to the store?
Yeah,
But
it's a
we don't
complete,
have to know the whole story in that one
Yeah.
sentence.
it's just a statement.
yeah, just a statement.
How do we know that it's a complete sentence? It has a
Subject.
subject,
Verb.
a verb. It's
Object.
actually am going.
Mhm.
And then we have to the store. We learned what this was earlier. It's a prepositional phrase. It's where I am going.
Where are you going? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Where am I going? It's the place I'm going. So that's just extra. And I teach my students to actually just ignore those pieces.
Mm.
When they're doing punctuation or trying to figure it out, because we can come up with some very complicated sentences. And, I'm taking the car to go to the store, and, I'm taking the car to go to the store just before lunch, but after I do this other thing, right? So we have a lot of prepositional phrases: after lunch, before this, in the car, right? All of those things. So sometimes we can make really complicated sentences. So if I ever have a student who has a super complicated sentence, I will say, let's find all the prepositional phrases, although I don't teach them the word. I say, okay, which parts of the sentence tell us where something is in time or in space? And we just cross them because it's not required for the punctuation. So I am going to the store. It's a statement. I'm going to the store. If someone says, where are you going? I say, I'm going to the store. It's a complete sentence.
Mhm.
And I don't have any money. Is that a complete sentence?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it is connected by but.
But
So is
No.
but a fanboys?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So we go down the yes side. If it was not a fanboys, it would just be no, then no comma.
Okay.
It's always the end of the road, right? If it's not a fanboys, it does not get a comma ever. Because never, ever gets a comma.
Okay.
Okay? Even though you will see it everywhere with a comma. It doesn't get commas. Okay, so we go down the yes side. So yes, it is a fanboys. So we look at the next box. We look after the fanboys. Is there a subject and a verb?
Yes.
Yes. What's the subject?
Would be money.
That'd be the topic.
Oh, the subject.
That's why I keep asking this question. Don't worry, I do it to my students all the time. See how hard
Oh,
it is?
I.
I is the
Hi.
subject.
Had a little brain dump there. It's
Yeah, and it's okay because now you understand when you teach your student and they get it wrong, you're going to go, you know what? I did the same thing. It's okay.
So then have is the verb, correct?
Yeah.
Have.
Well, do not
I-
have. So,
Don't. Yeah.
but
I
have,
don't have.
yes.
I don't have. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have I and have or do not have.
Is don't a helping verb?
Okay,
don't
let's
have.
first of all start by taking it into its parts. It's do have is the verb, and then the negative is there. So
Do
it's
not.
a verb phrase. We teach students that there are lots of helping verbs, but anytime you have more than one verb side by side, it just turns into a verb phrase. So yeah, it could be a helping verb, but I tend to just call it a verb phrase. Usually the helping verbs are the to be verbs,
Oh yeah.
but do can be a part of the phrase too. So do is a verb and have is a verb. So
I do have.
yeah. And then we have this little knot stuck in the middle. So yes, we have a subject. Yes, we have a verb. So yes, put a comma. That's pretty straightforward, right? I love that if it's yes, yes, then yes, right? If it's no, then no. As soon as you come up with a no, it does not get a comma.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to the store, but don't have any money. So we have the same thing. We have a complete sentence here. What about don't have any money?
You don't have a verb. Wait, you do have a verb, but
Have a verb. What do I not have?
you don't have a subject.
I don't have a subject. So I do have a connector word. So let's just go through the algorithm. Is it a fanboys? Yes.
Yeah.
Look after the fanboys. Is there a subject and a verb? We just said there was no subject.
Yeah. So it's a
So
no.
no.
Oh,
So no comma.
Mm-hmm.
So I explained to my students, if your dad's a firefighter and you are getting an award at an awards ceremony and your dad comes, does that mean the place is burning down? Of course not. He's there as your dad. Fanboys do other things other than be connector words. So sometimes the but will show up or the and will show up, especially but or and will show up, but they don't get a comma because they're not there acting as fanboys. They're acting as some other part of speech.
okay. I love this.
So that's how that works. And what about this one? I'm going to the store today because I have some money. I'm going to the store today. Is this a sentence? Complete sentence?
Yeah,
You
that would be a complete.
Yep. Subject is I. Am going is the verb. So here's your helper verb. Usually helper verbs are the to be verbs. Am going. It's good. You're going to often have students choose the ing verb in a sentence. So I am starving. And they will say starving is the verb. But the main verb of the sentence is
And
never the ing word. So go might be a verb, and this is a form of a verb, and it's even acting as part of the verb, but it's the am that's the major part of the verb. But, if you were diagramming it, it would be am going.
I'm going. Okay.
Am going to the store today. And I have some money. Complete sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Connected with?
Because
Because
it's not a fanboy.
it's not a fanboy, so
No
No
comma.
comma.
no comma.
Okay.
So I tell students all the time, you think commas are really scary and really hard, but they're not. There's only a couple of rules.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we have to be consistent when we're editing. And our students are not going to just write, I am going to the store, comma, but I do not have any money. They're going to write, I'm going to the store, but I do not have any money. They might forget the period at the end. They might forget a capital at the beginning, or they might stick a capital in the middle of the sentence, because students do all kinds of crazy things when they're writing. And that's okay. No problem. The next thing we do is we read it for capitals and periods. Make sure everything is a complete sentence. And then we read it for lists, commas and lists. Then we read it for fanboys. So we need to just do it a step at a time. It's a process. In fact, I teach this. I have written for a number of years for a magazine. And still, I edit and I check every single fanboys. Every time, because I will miss them. I will miss them. So I'm going to teach you this part. You'll maybe not get to this with your student, maybe ever. But you're going to notice so, but not so that.
Mm-hmm.
I am studying hard so I can get a great grade. Can't think of another one now, and I had one yesterday.
Now put so that in.
Yes. So I will talk about this. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, and I had one yesterday that a student did, and I went, "That's perfect. I have to remember that." Sometimes the word so is in a sentence, and we could say so that. If you could secretly put in the word that,
Mhm.
this is not a fanboys.
Oh,
Like it's a
so if
fanboys
you
word,
can't,
but it does not get a comma.
so if you can say it in your head silently, so that, and it makes sense, and you don't put a comma.
Right.
Okay.
I can't think of a sentence. Can you think of a sentence that connects like two sentences connected with the word so that's not so that?
Studying, so.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I should have written it down because I knew I was going to need it, but I thought I'd remember. I should know better. All right. So the
That's right.
thing with combining sentences is it comes with punctuation. So, I mean, I could teach you that if you connect it with a fanboys, it's a compound sentence. If you connect it with the other kind of connectors, then it's a complex sentence and you have all of those things, okay? But the names of the kinds of sentences really are irrelevant, and it really doesn't matter whether our kids know that or not. They just have to know how to do it. But let's take a look at some of the other sentences because they have a special punctuation rule. So if I say, I'm going to the store, although I have no money. All right. I'm going to the store. I have no money. This is the same sentence as we had before. We know they're complete. We know they each have a subject and a verb. And we have this connector word in the middle. This connector word is not a fanboys, so no comma, right?
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever said, although I have no money, I'm going to the store?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just turn it, flip it.
Yeah, exactly. We can reverse these types of sentences.
Okay, now is there a comma there?
Yes. Now we put a comma. We only put a comma when this is the dependent clause. Not that that matters. But as soon as you have this connector word, it stays attached to the second part of the sentence. And then we can move it around and put it at the beginning of the sentence as long as we always put the connector word at the front. So anytime you have a connector word at the front of a sentence, you put a comma.
Well,
And
that's because the first part is not a sentence too. Now that you added the although, right?
right. It's not it's not a complete sentence because you have although added. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And most students don't think of this as reversing a sentence. There's another rule for commas, and it's introductory phrases and clauses. Words, phrases, or clauses. So if you have, yes, I'm going to go to the store, right? Yes, I'm going to go to the store. Like this is just extra bonus. It's not about making sentences better. This would be an introductory word, or we could say, yesterday, I went to the store. Yesterday. Oh, that won't work. Sorry. Shouldn't go off the top of my head because now I can't think of them. We could put introductory phrases at the front. So, in the morning, comma, I will go to the store. So it is a prepositional phrase, but as soon
Mhm.
as you put a phrase at the beginning of a sentence, we put a comma to separate it.
Mhm.
So most students, when they start doing these kinds of sentences, either A, they just recognize there needs to be a comma because they've always paused there, or if they're actually looking at it grammatically, they don't think, oh, that's a reversed sentence. They think, oh, that's an introductory clause, like an introductory sentence.
Mhm.
So they often this is a very intuitive one that students just come up with. But these kinds of sentences with these other connector words, we can switch around backwards. Do you need
Mhm.
to see another one of those, or are you good?
So with the fanboys, you can never switch.
Not normally.
No, normally it doesn't make sense.
Right. You wouldn't say, but I don't have any money. I'm going to the store.
Yeah.
There have been a couple that I thought, oh, you could actually switch that, but I don't bring it up to my students because I don't want to confuse them. Because the rule is that you can't reverse these types of sentences.
There's all
It normally
That
doesn't
keeps
work.
it easier.
What was that, Dina?
Keeps it simpler for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
but of course we know there are exceptions, right? With everything.
Always exceptions. And I mean, clearly I saw one of the exceptions because I thought, oh, that could actually be flipped. That's not very common. And I could never think of it again, guaranteed. So, do you have any questions about how you can encourage your students to combine sentences? Because we've talked about the punctuation, but not how to get them to make two sentences into one.
Not really. I'm learning here, so keep going.
Okay. All right. I would say if they have two sentences, I'm going to the store. I don't have any money. I wish I could get, I don't know what, new shoes. Okay. I would say, oh, do these ideas all go together?
Mm-hmm.
Can you combine them into one sentence? Or how about you just tell me this and we'll see what kind of sentence you come up with. And they'll probably say, I'm going to the store, but I don't have any money. I wish I could get new shoes. And I wish I could get new shoes would be separate. Or they could absolutely say, I'm going to the store even though I have no money, but I wish I could get new shoes. Even though is one of the other connecting words, so it does not get a comma, but would get a comma. So the only way really to get them to combine sentences is just to say, can you like squish these into one sentence? Can you rearrange them into one sentence? Imagine these are puzzle pieces and make me a picture out of it if they're a visual type of student. So that way they will come up with like a bigger idea instead of a whole bunch of short little rapid fire sentences. It's kind of what I do. And actually this part they learn super quickly. When they're writing paragraphs and essays, I recommend as part of the editing process that they go back and they look at the different lengths of their sentences. How many of your sentences are these short little sentences? You should have a few because they're for emphasis, but most of your sentences should be medium length and a few longer ones. So just for interest, when the reader's reading, all the sentences shouldn't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
All right, excellent. And Dina, did you have any questions or anything
No, I like
about
the idea.
sentences?
No, I like the idea of having them kind of speak it out loud. I think
Mhm.
sometimes it helps them to get off the paper and explain, and then they maybe hear the sentence variation, how they can.
Mhm. Yeah, it usually really works. The only problem with it is it's very teacher centric. You have to be by them.
Yeah.
Hopefully they will learn to do it themselves, or at least learn to, make better sentences, even if they don't say them out loud. So some
Right.
students will say them out loud for quite a long time before they are able to write them.
Right.
But some students will do it out loud once or twice, and then they'll just get it and they'll be able to write them. I want to thank you, Dina and Angela, for coming today and helping me out with this class. And thank you to everyone who is watching on YouTube, on Facebook. It really, really makes a difference. And I hope that today that you've learned something and you've learned some strategies for helping your student. If you have any questions, I would love to help you. I am a mentor at heart, and I mentor all kinds of parents and all kinds of students, not just those in my classes. So please do reach out. The email is support@discerntolearn.com. And you can always check out my Facebook group. You're going to find the link in the description. And in the description, check out, there's going to be some trial classes, and there's one specifically for students on improving their sentence writing. So this is a one-off class, 1 week. Students get to try out the learning management system, and they get to try doing some assignments and getting feedback and learn how to improve their sentences. So if you'd like more information about that, check the description because you will see the link where you can sign up for that. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate how much you do for your student every day.